So what do you guys want to talk about today? Let's do something fun. It's like our Friday.
Syllabus?
Didn't we cover syllabus on...
No, we did. We can do it again, though.
We did cover the syllabus? We did? When? Oh. Okay, well, let's move on then. You guys have any questions about anything? You know, Elise is recording this class, so make it fun. Can you say your name, your age, your status, and then your question?
My name is Derek. I'm 18 years old. I go to college. I'm the rest of you guys.
Yeah, that's too much. Just Derek is fine.
Okay. What do you think about DeepSeek, Chinese AI?
Forgive me, Derek. Next question. I mean, I wish I could entertain you a little bit, but it's just beyond the scope of my knowledge. Yeah.
Who's your favorite philosopher? What's your favorite philosopher?
When I was 12, I went out with this girl in India. Her name was Jennifer Rollins. In India. She was from Minneapolis. But she had moved to India. I just ran into her in a brothel. That's like a sacred temple in India. We exchanged numbers, we hung out a little bit. And then one day she comes to me and she says, "We're going back to America." I was broken. I thought I would never recover. I recovered. Then I came to America. I ran into a woman named Rebecca. The point I'm trying to make really is, Americans are so expressive for all the wrong reasons. I think at different stages in your life, you gravitate towards different things. Sometimes an event happens in your life. Let's say you're driving down Lakeshore, you get pulled over by the cops. They baton you a little bit, and for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you read philosophers who talk about justice and fairness and maybe social problems. After a while, you realize that that kind of philosophy no longer nourishes you. Maybe someone very close to you has passed away and you're grief-stricken. And so you gravitate towards the sort of thinkers that are a bit more introverts, talk more about grief. You gravitate towards people like Albert Camus or Soren Kierkegaard. After a while, you realize, well, that doesn't really work for you anymore. And that's 2, 3 years later on. So at different stages of your life, you gravitate towards different philosophies of life. What was your question?
What is your favorite philosopher?
I don't like them. They're no good. Forgive me, I should appreciate your age and curiosity, so let me not be so flippant. Plato is really good. I like Plato. He is like Costco. Most of the philosophers are like 7-Eleven. Some grow to be like a Safeway. But Plato is like a Costco of philosophers. You can find everything there. You know, there was a movie, not a movie, but a show on TV called Chopped. It's about people cooking and stuff. So there are 4 contestants. and they're given baskets. They have no idea what's inside the baskets, but they're given a basket each, and at a certain point, they're told to open the basket and see what the contents are. And so, say in all the baskets, there's like a flour and poop and all sorts of things, and they have to make some food. And if you happen to be a very, very, very good chef, seasoned, experienced, talented, creative, there's a good chance that despite what you may see in the basket, you can make a very, very delicious dish. If on the other hand, you're not very good, then you're going to be ejected, you know. I think when I first did philosophy, the ideas were very fascinating. And after a while, you realize you don't really want to use other people as a crutch. You want to like have your own ways of doing things. And so after some time, you know, kind of like the way you learn how to walk after a while, how to run without holding your father's hand. And I think thinking is very much the same way. Initially, you have no choice but to use other people as a crutch. I mean, consider for a moment the ideas of Malcolm X. I don't know if you're familiar with his work or not, but let's say as a young kid, you grow up and you see a lot of mess around you, and you want to know why, okay? And so one of the people or philosophers who gravitate towards is Malcolm X, okay? And you read the biography and you memorize the entire book. And every time someone asks you anything about the social world, you quote Malcolm. After a while, you realize, well, Malcolm lived in the 1960s. It was a different time, different people, different customs, different culture. You live in the 21st century. Internet, you know, drugs are different, pornography is different, the way we portray women are different, men are, everything is different. So what you do is, even though the foundation of your thinking and feelings revolve around the ideas of Malcolm X, but now you put some of your own stuff, your own ideas, your own emotions, your own culture into the ideas. So you use the ideas of Malcolm, but you spice it up. And the moment you begin to spice things up, they become your ideas. But inspired by Malcolm nevertheless. I think that's what everybody hopes to do, you know? As far as the sort of philosophy I gravitate towards, a lot of it really depends on where's your backpack, notebook, pen, pencil. Look at all these people taking notes. One has even gone further. Anyways, a good amount of what you gravitate towards really has to do with your temperament. I had a friend I used to play tennis with. His name was Paul Nakairo, born in America, but his parents were Japanese. We played tennis for about 10 years in Davis. Then we went to Sacramento State University. One day there was this like Japanese gatherings, and he went to it, and he liked it. 2 months later, he packed up and moved to Japan. I haven't heard from him since. I have no idea what that means. Anyone else? Let's. I don't know. Good luck. Okay? Danielle?
Does someone who's lied or betrayed you deserve a second chance to part of your life?
So,
On a higher degree, like the liar and betrayal, obviously, not like a...
yeah, okay. So imagine you and I are in a relationship. Is that okay? I mean, it's just an analogy, you know. We hang out, I look into your eyes and I say, I love you. And you look into my eyes and you say, I love you too. We're a unit. And I come to your house, I ask your parents' permission if you can move out and move in with me. And your parents are overjoyed. Can you visualize all that? And we have all these plans. You know, we're going to buy a car together, a house together, you're going to get pregnant, all those things. Kasara, why are you smiling? You know, Elon Musk can do all sorts of things these days. And so I come home one day. And I went to Trader Joe's, or better yet, I went to the cemetery, stole some flowers to give to you. And I opened the door and I hear these sounds. I said, what is this? At first, I imagined that they're like coming from the heavens, angels whispering into my ears. But no, they're too close. And I follow the noise, and the noise leads me to the bedroom. And let's just say you're 18, I'm 18. And I open the door, there is you, and there is Matthew. Now, a couple of things you need to understand. First, you're 18, I'm 18. How much do I know about life? Nothing. How much do you know about life? Nothing. We are two little kids, imagining that our life is big, meaningful, we are mature, we are adults, we are fully in control of who and what we are and what's going to happen in our lives. And we make like these plans 20 years down the line. You're 18, I'm 18. There's still so much out there that you and I need to learn. We need to finish school, we need to get a job, you know, we need to help our parents go to Kaiser, take care of them. There are so many things that you and I are still in the dark about. But we make plans nevertheless. That's just the way we function as stupid human beings. Now, there is another thing you need to understand about us, regardless of the age. All relationships, what they have inside them is hope. I look at you, and how does it make me feel? You complete me. You are my son. I'm going to revolve all of my hopes and dreams around this relationship. That's a lot of investment. And the more time you and I spend, the more dreams I'm going to create. The more invested I'm going to be. In short, I'm going to be profoundly attached to you. Attached is like an umbilical cord. Without you, my life is not nourished. I'm just going to wither and pass away. And the same is true for you. Okay? So, in all relationships, you come to this class Mondays and Wednesdays for an hour and 15 minutes. You may like me, you may not like me, that's irrelevant. The very foundation of why you're here is because in 16 weeks' time, you want to get a passing grade. You want to go to a 4-year school. That's the hope. It's impossible to enter into any relationship without hope. And this idea, live in the moment, that's stupid. That's for hippies. Everything you do in life, there's an investment. With your time, your energy, your youth, your dreams and hopes, that's what you inject in everything. There's a good part of you that lives in every single relationship out there. You coach young kids, and you see a kid not doing the right thing. So what do? You walk to the kid. You chat with the kid. There's hope in there that this kid is going to listen to you, that you will have the right language to express the things that you need to express. That when you're done talking to this kid, he will go out in the court and play basketball the right way. There is hope in everything. Okay? And just in case he doesn't do what you ask, you're disappointed. And if you're disappointed enough, you will give up. You exercise justice the first time by assuming that what you say, he will listen. When you give up, it means you have taken that justice away from that kid and you give it to yourself. You no longer want to be frustrated, disappointed. Now, Let's say we're not talking about me catching you in a lie, me seeing you like stealing $10 from my wallet. You are physically sharing your body with Matthew. And men work differently than women, but let's just make blanket statements. Okay. In that body of yours, you also share a good amount of emotions. Do you have guilt once in a while you're in the act of having fun with Matthew? Yeah. You think about me, perhaps. Are you going to be able to look yourself in the mirror? All that stuff. But the pleasure that you're having with Matthew is far too intense to hold on to the guilt. The pleasure overcomes you and you just continue. And then you're done. Whether it's 5 minutes, 5 hours, or 5 days. And he goes home and you're stuck in the bed. And I come home. And the moment you see me, you begin to think about your actions. Pleasure is gone. All you're left with is a brand new set of emotions. I reflect back to you what a crummy human being you are. Let's just say. So, you also need to understand the power of sex, the power of passion, the power of desires. You need to consider all those things. But you and I don't really have time for all those things, because the moment I catch you, I'm not going to sit back like Jesus Christ or the Buddha and say, okay, what the hell is going on? I'm going to be angry. I'm going to lose control. Now you're going to come to me on your fours, and you're going to cry, and you're going to scream, and you say, Amir, please forgive me. Give me another chance. Well, some things have happened. First, it's going to take a long time for me to gain the trust, because the foundation is cracked now. Sometimes it heals, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes forgetting is easy, sometimes it's difficult. It's like anything else, because you're talking about the birth and then the death of a relationship. And every death demands some time for recovery. And sometimes you just never recovered. Now, you're asking me to forgive you. Okay. Now, being 18, I'm going to look at you, and I want to walk away from the relationship. But here's the thing. I've made a history with you. That history is very, very difficult to get rid of. Emotional history is very difficult to give up. I can't just walk away. I want to. And maybe I will for a couple of days. But then I say, oh man, I miss Danielle. And I pick up my phone. I want to call you, but then I catch myself. And now comes the conflict. Should I not? Should I not? It's going to go, this yo-yo syndrome, for many, 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 many hours, if not days. And as my rage dims a little, and that's what time does. It's something we've talked about in this class a few times. Time removes the intensity of your anger or your emotion. And then little by little you forget. We don't forget the whole thing. You just forget some things. And when you forget those things, you say, you know what? Everybody makes a mistake. And let's just spice this up a little bit. I'm a Christian, Catholic, the dangerous kind. You know, if someone slaps you, you let them slap the other cheek. You know, all of us are sinners. Forgiveness is the very core of who and what I am. And that's the self-cunning part. Even though I don't want to be with you, but something emotionally says, call him. And so I justify my calling you by saying, I'm going to exercise compassion and forgiveness. I use God, I use religion, I use all sorts of cunning philosophies to get back in touch with you. Not because I'm religious, but because I miss you. But it's too embarrassing for me to say, this piece of shit did ABCD to me, I'm not calling him back. It's too much. So I spice it up with religion. And as you and I talk, at first I'm angry, and then you cry. Like chocolate, I melt a little. You say, please, let's give this another shot. You say, okay. I say okay because of hope, because of dreams, because of fantasy. Now, we are 18. So yeah, I'm going to give you another chance because I'm young, reckless, and stupid. But now let's make the story a little bit more complicated. You are the age that you are, 20, and I am the age that I am, 62. Why are you laughing?
I'm not. I was thinking about something that happened yesterday.
Now, you're laughing, you're saying, well, why would a 20-year-old want to hang out with a 62-year-old? I mean, there is like a 5-year age difference. Mikai, what is it that people want in life? Mikai, right? Yeah. What is it that people want in life? No. They want security. Can he find security in a 20-year-old? No. He can have fun, pleasure, but security? No, man. 20-year-olds are houses built on sand. They just fall apart. What can I offer you? Stability, maturity. You come home, I'm always going to be this way. Always the same. I don't have mood swings. Well, I do. After my naps. Not before. Yeah, before I'm good. After my naps, it's awful. Yeah. But I give you security. I'm not going out with you and being with you because, like, you're valuable in any way, intrinsically. You keep me young, relevant. You make my life a bit more meaningful. I have zero respect for you because you have zero life experiences. And even if you do have profound life experiences, you're far too young to be able to digest them, process them. You're with me for one reason, and I'm with you for one reason. You're with me because you ask questions, I answer you, and you like the way I talk. And I like you because when I talk, you sit back and listen, and your mouth is shut. It's a perfect relationship. And then I come home and I see you with Matthew. I'm 62, man. You think I got time for this shit? No. I'm going to say, listen, you should pack your stuff and go. Does that make sense? So the short answer to your very, very complicated question would be the following. Right now, you guys, you're in no position to make promises, to sign anything with anyone. You're far too young. Your brain is filled with mush. You have all these wrong ideas about yourself, about life, about everything really under the sun. The only thing you should do, take a lot of classes, get them done, go to a 4-year school, finish that ASAP, get your master's at least. And when you're 30, 35, if you want to make some big life-altering decisions, then do so. Right now, you want to have fun, have fun. America is a land of fun. Not so much of thinking and reflecting and examining and observing. What happened? Just have fun. You want to go out there, have fun, have fun. The problem is whenever you hang out with anything for too long, you create history with them. History creates emotions. They create stories. Those stories become like super glue. And then you get hurt. Be a capitalist. Be a Donald Trump. Use people. When it's finished, get rid of them. When in Rome, do as Romans do. Romans slaughter people. They use them and then they slaughter them. You should do the same. And it's not a bad thing. It sounds a little smelly, but it's the right thing to do in life. Does that? Now, your dilemma, walk away. Or if it's the other person, tell him or her or it to walk away. Where are you going? Of course, yes. Kasara, yes. Matthew.
What if the relationship isn't in a position to walk away, like it's an inter-family one? You know, like parent, child, brothers.
Oh, you should always listen to your parents. Always. Never move out. I mean, I'm talking about like relatively healthy parents. Not those who are like get drunk all the time or are high on the time or are abusive in some shape or form or have anger issues because their life sucks. You know, relatively healthy parents. First of all, the idea of parenthood is really complicated. For those of us in this class who have children, I got to tell you, man, the amount of time that parents spend on kids, the intensity of dreams and hopes that they inject into their kids, the sort of stories they create for their kids, they're beautiful. It's just that the problem is when these stories come down from paradise, I want my kid to be A, B, C, D, I'm going to send them to private school, they're never going to use profanities, they're always going to watch Bluey on TV, you know, we're never going to hang out with the dicey people, we're going to like move from Oakland to Montclair or Montclair to Oakland, whatever the case may be. You always want to create paradise for your kids. The problem is life is complicated. You know, parents' hopes never come true. First, because what kids do is they put a Band-Aid on life for a couple of minutes. You know, as a mother, like you're 6 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant, you always think that you're going to be the best mother this planet has ever seen. And your kid is going to be the best kid this planet has ever seen. And the guy thinks the same way. You guys go to Target, you steal a lot of things for the kids. You go to Home Depot, you steal a good amount of buckets of paint, you know. You decorate the room. You want to welcome this kid into this world. And you do your best. But little by little, frustration comes over. You're still human. The kid only had the power to kind of create this illusion for you that you can overcome life and all of life's difficulties. And you do for a few minutes. I mean, no parent ever wants to scream at their kids, but we all have a limited garbage bin. Once it's full, you begin to scream. Nobody wants to be frustrated. Nobody wants to be angry. No one wants to slap their kid. But a lot of people do it because life is tough and, you know, we all have certain capacities. Add to it modernity. You know, 100 years ago, you lived here, your mom lived here, your parents lived there, your siblings lived there, your aunts and uncles lived there, and every 10 minutes your kid would be passed around. And you would see your kid like from 8 at night till about 10. You shower him, you feed him, you punch him into bed. It's finished. But your kid is being raised by a tribe. Now, 24/7, the only person that the kid sees is you because there is no one else in your life. That's what the American life is all about. You're in the middle of an island. There is no one there to see you, to protect you, to support you. You're on your own. Okay? Now, if you have relatively healthy parents, use them. I mean, first you're condemned by being born. Nobody asks my permission. My mom is a relatively attractive woman. My dad was a very handsome young man way back then. He was 28. My mom was like 15. They got married. 2 weeks later, I was born. You know? Did my parents like think about how it is to have children? No, it's just a thing you do. Since life is an imposition, and it is, take advantage of your parents. Stay with them. Free food, free laundry. Hopefully they're decent enough not to charge you rent. Stay there. Go to school. You know? And once you have gained enough power in life, power, because you certainly don't want to walk into life not having education, not having money, and being like all these ridiculous people. At the age of 18, They're really intellectually poor, physically poor. They move out and they say, oh yeah, I live on my own. I have roommates. How many? 55. You know, I have a tiny corner in a room, but I'm so happy. So do you go to school? Yeah, I take like one class every semester. Well, shit, by the time you graduate, you'll be 100 years old. Who's going to want you then? And you know, life is expensive. After a while, you need to like go out on dates. No woman is going to stay with you if you got no money. And just in case this woman gets pregnant, children are expensive. You know, Home Depot is great. Don't get me wrong. In-N-Out is great to work at, but it's not sufficient to make a life. Yeah, stay at home, take advantage of your parents. Once you graduate, make money, then leave. Yeah.
Who or what do you fall back on, if not your parents or family?
The only reason why society, I think, is created is because intuitively, instinctually, something about us says life is complicated, life is difficult, it's heavy, you need help. And, you know, you go to someone out there, say, listen, can you help me with this? And then next time he'll come to you with their kids, can you help me with that? And all of a sudden what you have is civilization. If you don't have a support system, my recommendation is when you're young, you have a certain advantage in life that older people don't have. You're young, which means you have lots of time to waste. And you also have lots of hopes and dreams because you haven't yet been tested by life rigorously. You know, if you have a job, I mean, you need to have a good head on your shoulder. If you have a job, see if there are any of your coworkers who also have a good head on the shoulder. You're taking classes, see if anyone in the class makes you feel a certain way, makes you feel a bit more mature, you think better, you feel better about yourself, you like the conversations that people have in the classroom, go to them. And little by little, create friendships and protect those friendships. Because, you know, one of the things that Henry David Thoreau used to say is that if you want to know who a rich person is, look at someone who has one really, really, really good friend. And if you really want to know who poor is, find someone who has lost that one good friend, you know. And in 10 years' time, if you're able to protect your friendships with people who have a good amount of maturity, they'll be your support system. And like anything else in life, life is very, very, very fragile. Very fragile. Things will break very quickly, very easily. You don't need to put much effort into destroying things. Life destroys it by nature. We don't need to help life to make that destruction happen more quickly than it needs to. If you have no support system, there are going to be some issues. First, you have become addicted in all the wrong ways to loneliness, to sadness, to depression. In many ways, you don't have the capacity to love. In many ways, you have lost. You can reclaim them, but it's going to take a while. It'll be difficult for you to trust people, to have faith in them, to like them, to take a few steps forward because you always assume that it's just a matter of time before they backstab you. And don't make friends with like young people. They're stupid. Old people. Go to the cemetery. رو به گورستان دمی خاموش نشین آن سخنگوی خاموشان را ببین. Anyways, yeah. In the absence of people, read books. Read books. For those of you who like to walk and listen to audiobooks, if you're interested, come to me after class. I'll give you my cell number. Download this application on your cell phone called Telegram, and I'll send you a couple thousand hours of audios to listen to keep you company. But there is a negative aspect to that. If you're 18 and you begin to or start thinking like a 30, 40, 50-year-old person, it's going to be a really, really tough thing for you to find friendships. Because most people want to stay down here in the realm of fun and superficialities and those things. Yeah. Mackay.
Like when you talk about like autopilot versus like a life of reflection, like if you live in an autopilot lifestyle or whatever, is that includes like maybe taking like indulging in negative habits or positive habits, like that autopilot includes both of those things.
Well, whenever anyone speaks, whether it's me responding to you or me listening to you, what we usually do in listening to one another is that there are these keywords that just go inside you. You dismiss everything else except those keywords, okay? So when you were talking, most of the things you say, I couldn't listen to. I just heard those words that interest me, and I focus on them. So in my response to your question, you need to understand first, I didn't listen to your question fully, and if I wanted to, I can't answer your question because I doubt very much you yourself understand the question. So all of us are just interpreting the ridiculous things we assume to know and understand. Imagine you go to a math class and you have a test in a couple days. Well, you're not going to sit there and reflect about the relevance of the quiz, about how important it is to your life, how it's going to make you mature, right? You just know that you just need to take this math class because it's a transfer unit, okay? So the instructor writes on the board and casually you just jot everything down. You're an autopilot. Then you come to this class. You raise your hand and you say, can I ask a question? No. You don't even understand your own question. You say, I do. You say, no, you don't. And then in the course of our dialogue, you come to realize you don't really understand your question. You don't understand the question. You raise your hand. No one forced you. You raised it. And you raised it because you assumed that you actually understood what you were thinking about. And you also wrongly assume that you have expressed your question very eloquently. And then you come to realize, no, they're all wrong. You don't understand anything. Now you begin to think, reflect. So as human beings, we occupy two worlds. There is a world in which you go in, you do what needs to be done. You don't need to think. You don't need to ask a question. When a cop stops you and asks for your license, if you don't have very much power in life, give him your goddamn license. Be on autopilot. Don't try to be a hero, especially these days, okay? If on the other hand, a cop pulls you over and you look at the cop and intuitively you feel that this police officer is open to question and answer, why was I pulled over? And let's say you have the power of being versed in laws where you can checkmate the police officer, okay? Then you can sit back and reflect, know your environment really, really well, okay? And most of the stuff happens, again, instinctually, intuitively. You know, you walk into some place, someone comes to you and you realize, you know, this guy is very black and white. You're an autopilot and you do it. In some cases, you walk in and you realize, well, it's time for you to really, really think. Now, here's the thing you need to understand about life. No one can be on autopilot for too long. And the reason is life has a tendency of putting you in certain environments that creates a good amount of pain. Maybe your assumption was, I'm going to take an ethics class, I'm going to do a class like all the other previous years, I'm going to write stuff down, there's going to be a quiz, some assignments, I'll do A, B, C, D, and I'll get a C or a B or an A and go home, okay? And then you take this class. I don't know how you feel about this class, but let me just make a story, okay? And all of a sudden you realize that every time you walk away from this class, you're like burdened with thinking. You know, and you say, well, Mom, do I really need to go to school? Or you go home and your companion is waiting for you. Do you love me? Why? How? Who? When? And all of a sudden you realize, well, nobody can really answer you adequately. And you're disappointed, even in the people you care for most, respect most. Okay? Since life pushes all of us into reflection, the problem with reflection is the following. You are forced to stand outside of your life and you look at life from a distance. It's like his question, Danielle's question. Do you forgive? Well, while things are going okay, you don't need to think. They can continue believing that you love, that you're decent, she's decent, or he's decent, whatever the case may be. You guys have 20 years to go and all that. The moment an event happens and something disrupts you, it's like the fuse box, a breaker, jumps and the lights go off. All of a sudden the breaker, it goes off and then you sit back and say, okay, what do I need to do? And it's never fun to look at life from a distance because you see a good amount of flaws. One of the nice things about the friendships that we have is our friends always tell us that we are great. And even if they want to tell us that we are scumbags, they do it in passing. And it's a joke and we laugh and that's it. But when your mom or dad looks at you very sternly and says, you're a scumbag, you're not going to amount to much, it's not a joke. And it's painful. And if you happen to be in the right place, you stand outside and say, did I really do that? Was I caught by my mom? How could I be so stupid? And it's going to be a painful event. So human beings live in two worlds. The world of fun, where no reflection is required, and the world of pain, where you're forced to think and reflect. Elise? Yeah.
What do you think of using a sliding scale to navigate life?
What's a sliding scale?
What's this one?
It's basically, for me, it's basically where it's like there's a line and then there's like, it's basically a line and basically it could be like, you can use it as like, oh, for example, you like something, you don't like something over here, and then, oh, you really like something over here, and then there's like the neutral point.
I don't know. If you come to my office and you say, I want to drop out of school, the first time you come to my office, I'm going to encourage you to stay in school. Maybe I'll be in the gray area because you're an American. I say, well, it's your right, it's your life, it's this, it's that. I'll listen to you for 10 minutes. When you come to my office a second time, and again say the same stupid stuff to me, my volume is going to go up. And I'm just going to tell you stay in school and don't be stupid. The third time you come to my office and you say you want to drop out of school, I'm just going to ask you to leave. One of the things you need to understand about experience and knowing how to do something really well. There is no gray area. There is no sliding door or scale. Black and white. Go learn how to play the guitar, piano. Go learn how to be good at something. Initially, you will assume that you can do this on your own, but you can't. After a while, you say, maybe I should just get a teacher. And you do. You can't just bang on the keys. It doesn't work. And if you happen to be around a really good teacher, where they don't really need the money, money is not bad, but they're not poor because I'm not having it, okay? You're $50. They're going to tell you, listen, this is what I want you to do. There is no in between. This idea that you can improvise life comes to you at a much later stage. You know, when you know how to stretch your fingers well, you know what pedals you should put your foot on, you know, if you can read notes. Then after 10 years of doing all the stuff, then yeah, you can turn off the lights, burn all the music sheets, you know, and improvise. You can improvise because you know the basics, you have the foundation, and you're really, really good. At this stage in your life, you don't need to improvise, you don't know anything. Find someone who is good at whatever, you know, follow everything they say, do everything they say. You're in no position to improvise right now. Don't wing it. Isabel.
Question, but how do you feel about modern artists?
It sucks. They all suck.
Do you believe that their art is still a valid way for them to make money?
Well, it's much better than selling weed, you know, or creating wars, or selling weapons. When you talk about art, you talk about beauty. And when you talk about beauty, you talk about human perception. And when you talk about human perception, you're talking about culture and what time does to culture and what time does. Each generation has their own version of beauty is. What is ugly, what is beauty. I mean, look at music these days. Look at rap. You know? Look at books. Look at TV shows. In my time, when I was in Iran, we only had black and white, 2 channels only. We never saw people kiss on the screen. Not once. You know? All of a sudden, you know, time happens, things change, and all of a sudden, if you watch a movie where people are not kissing, it's not fun enough to sit through 2 hours of just having people, you know, just talk about what. So, if you happen to be a modern artist, there's a good chance that when you see the artwork during the Renaissance, you're not going to appreciate much of it. If you happen to be part of the secular culture, like this culture right now, there's a good chance that you're not going to appreciate the art that came out of the Middle Ages, which is mostly religious. And modern art is just stupid. It's like modern music. It's equally stupid. It's like modern people. It wasn't Stephanie.
You said Samantha last time, not Samantha.
Was it?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn, that's right.
So if you think modern art isn't like, maybe not valid is the word, but I can't think of the word. Because it's like the newest and like, I don't know, do you consider older art to be more wise than our art now? Because how does that make sense? Because we're like accumulation of like art that has existed before and we're learning and we have all this wisdom now, but do you think it's cheaper now?
Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about how, for example, in the Middle Ages, church doors were made. There was this fierce competition. It's like the soccer club Real Madrid, okay, has an open spot, and they want to spend like $300 million a year on an athlete. Okay, so there is Cristiano Ronaldo, there is Lionel Messi, Mbappe, all those people, right? And the 3 apply. And some people sit back and watch them play, and eventually one is picked. And it's going to be usually Cristiano Ronaldo. And you know why? He's beautiful. Now, so the church would advertise that, listen, we want someone to make this door. So you have all these wonderful artists. Now it's a church. And on the door, what they want is a story of the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, before you can even do that, you need to know a few things about the Bible. You need to be religiously minded. And if you're an artist, there's a good amount of creative spirit inside you. You're also talking about the church. which has a tremendous amount of power over the lives and psyches of people. Good, bad, right, wrong, they hold the key to paradise. You also live in a culture that has depth. No one uses profanities. Brothels, way in the corner of the city. It's dark. No one has sex before marriage. No one divorces. The way your kids are educated, you send them to church. No one lives the town in which they were born, to find job. You're born in a town, you live in that town, and you die in that town. There are no nursing homes. The only entertainment that people have, get together, talk politics, talk religion, talk about afterlife, talk about God. That's the only thing. Your name and your reputation had a tremendous amount of value. If your name and reputation are tarnished, you can't get a job in the city. No one's going to marry your daughter because they come just from a bad background, i.e., you as a parent suck. Okay? Now, why do you make church doors symbolic? Well, because people can't read, don't know how to read. We're talking about the printing press was invented in Wittenberg, Germany around the 15th century. Even then, nobody could read. Okay, so there are only a few people who are able to read. Most people are educated visually. Okay. And so that was the art of the Middle Ages. That was the art of, to some extent, the Renaissance period. By the time you get to like the 16th, 17th century or so, and after the Baroque and all that, everything goes down. Okay. So Leonardo da Vinci can't come and say, you know what, I'm just going to create an image that conflicts with the images given to us by the Bible. It doesn't work that way. Art today is mostly therapeutic. That you're some lost soul in the middle of nowhere, you're depressed, you're a complete mess, you got no parents, you got no money, your life isn't working, but you have some creative talents. So you take this piece of canvas, you shit on it, you spread it out, kind of like Duchamp. You know what lives in the Museum of France? One of the components, what we call art? A urinal. Go to a man's bathroom. And there are these like things that look like a spaceship where people piss in. It's a form of art. Does it mean that our culture has turned into shit? Maybe, I don't really know. But to consider that as a piece of art, you need to be profoundly reflective, educated, have known this culture, studied the culture, past, present, future, to say, you know what? It is really a piece of art. Because we don't really need the statue of Jesus Christ in the museum anymore. What we need is more toilets like that to remind people that everything is becoming shitty, smelly, disgusting. Does that, is it?
I'm wondering if you think because of our increased freedoms and our like kind of abandonment of like strict morals, do you think that's the reason why we're kind of like making more art that doesn't mean as much, because we are living life without boundaries that are kind of like concentrating our focus?
Yeah, sure. That's a good way of looking at it, yeah. Yeah.
What type of music do you think is good? Not a trap, I was just...
Persian music, of course. I'm just kidding.
Sleep out.
Huh?
Sleep out.
Yuck. You know, all kinds of music is good. It really, for the most part, depends on the message. Michael Jackson had a lot of crappy music, but he also created some beautiful music. I mean, They Don't Care About Us, that's beautiful. It really, really is like inspiring. You know, Rihanna has 99% of her music is shit. But she has a song about capitalism in America. That's pretty good. You know, so it is true that out of shit, good things can come about. But they come about once in a blue moon. There is another thing you need to consider. Makai, is it?
Yes.
If the culture was not ready to embrace musicians like Justin Timberlake or Snoop Dogg, they would never have a chance to prosper as artists. They would not even be given the label artists. There is something about our culture that looks at Snoop Dogg and says, he's a musician. So it's not so much about Snoop Dogg, it's about the culture in which you and I live that honor these people with such labels. Matthew?
We'll ask one last question, but do you think death of the artist is the better way to analyze art, or do you think it's important to understand the history of what went into the piece and the person who created it?
Can you say a question again?
You know what death of the artist is, the concept?
No, I'm stupid.
Okay. Well, death of the artist is a concept that basically means you should analyze the work of art on its own, and you should ignore the factors that went into the creation, you know, who made it, what their life story was, how that influences. So do you believe in that approach, that art should stand on its own without having to know the background of it? Like, for example, say, you know, in the modern culture, you have, you know, a lot of these very rich billionaires and millionaires creating art that is, you know, anti-greed, anti-corporate. Do you think that destroys the message of what they're trying to do?
If I was to be honest, I would say, first, I don't really understand what you're talking about. Second, of all the things you said, my mind went to a different place, so let me share what that place is. Since you took my class last semester, you already know, but most of the people here don't know. When I was about 18 or 19, I ran into this man. His name was Hussein. And he became my teacher for the next decade or so. Then he became a family friend for the next, 4 decades. His wife, her name is Shadia. She's still alive. Hussein passed away because of cancer a couple years ago. She's an artist. She paints like the people who did during the Renaissance. In fact, when she was bringing some of her artwork from Iran to America, they locked her up in a room thinking that she actually stole some art pieces from some museum in Europe. And she was trying to take them to the US to sell them. And she had to spend a few weeks convincing the people in charge or people in power that, listen, this is my own creation. I drew this, I painted this. When you speak to me about art or anyone, music, art, creativity, I'll always go back to some of the heroes that are interesting for me. I respect my teacher, I respect his wife, I respect most of the artwork that came out of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. I like things that are philosophical and force you to think and reflect. You know, is it true that when Rihanna created that music about capitalism in America inspired me? No, not Rihanna, because unfortunately I attached her personality to the music, and it just robbed the music of any creativity or value for me. Should I separate the artist from the art? I don't have that talent. You know, is it true that one should? I think it's important to separate the artist from the artwork because art, for many of the artists, it's an inspired moment. All of a sudden you walk around, your mood begins to change. You become connected or inspired by something invisible, unknown, indescribable. You lock yourself in a room, you create music, you do a drawing of sorts. I mean, consider Picasso's drawing of Guernica. It's a regular chap, you know, he's just sitting, drinking his coffee, eating his bagel, and all of a sudden, you know, he hears that this tiny little village is bombed and everybody's dead. Civilians. He puts his coffee away, throws away the bagel, locks himself in a room and grabs a pencil and a blank sheet of paper and just sketches Guernica. And now it fetches billions of dollars. You know, it's not like he decided that morning to create this piece. It's inspired. Now, should I consider the fact that Picasso was a piece of a human being? No. You know, there is the human side to him and there is the artistic side to him. And these two things can't intertwine, they can't mix. I mean, look at Jesus Christ. Is he a human being? Yeah. Do human beings need to eat to survive? Yeah. Do they need to drink to survive? Yeah. So what happens as a result of eating and drinking? Well, you need to shit. You need to pee. Anywhere in the New Testament talks about Jesus shitting? Of course not. You know? And that's what we do to our heroes. We don't want to see them as human beings who do casual things like the rest of us. In some ways, it's really, really good. In some ways, it's really, really dangerous. Because the moment Jesus comes to you and says, listen, can you hold on? I need to go take a dump. You say, oh my God, he's like me. He takes a shit. And something happens to you as a human, as a psyche, because you say, well, I thought he transcends all of this stuff. He's like non-human. And the moment he comes back from the bathroom after like 5 hours of having this awful diarrhea, and he's going to give you a piece of wisdom, you say, oh no, your wisdom is like, you know, it has a mixture of shit and wisdom. I don't want that. I just want pure wisdom. You know, and that's something we do to the artist. And in some ways we have no choice but to make our artists heroes, because look around you, man. I mean, Oakland smells. Life is bad. We want someone to come out of this awful environment and say, you know what? I come out of Oakland, but Oakland can't touch me. And I create this beautiful piece of music or piece of art that's meant to inspire, to create like a social reform, to better education, to eradicate poverty, to create social justice. Okay? And it is really our own poverty that doesn't allow us to look at an artist and say, you know, from 9 to 5, they're just going to be human. From 5 to 10, they're going to be artists. Anyways, I'm tired now. Do you have any other questions or comments before we go home? Javon? No. What was your name? I didn't. No. I only call the people who are usually not here, so I can go to my office and dump them.
Okay, my question is, what was the PR song about capitalism?
Say again?
What was the PR song about capitalism? Was it?
I don't know. She was like standing naked with the American flag. Jesus Christ, take it easy. You know, this is Oakland, and when people behave that way, I get a heart attack. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. It's a good song. Anyone else? How about a quickie? A quickie? Spoken like a true man, yeah.
Oh, do you like jazz?
I hate jazz. I have no idea what it's for. It's like country music. It puzzles me. What the hell is that? I mean, first, that twang in their voice. I mean, it's cute, but it's repulsive at the same time.
Right.
For those of you who are jazz lovers and country music lovers, my apologies. It's just bad music, yeah.
Just like in one of your videos about the spiritual path,
Yeah.
talking about like
Yeah.
which state do you think modern society has been in, and do you think it's like a cycle, or is it always
Some years ago, and I borrow this from the Hindu tradition, they had argued that modern people have entered the age of Kali Yoga. Kali is about death, it's about darkness, it's about confusion, it's about just feeling abandoned in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like the painting that was done by Edward Munch, The Scream, where you're just standing on a bridge, there are people around you, but you're screaming. Nobody really cares. There are people behind you laughing, in front of you laughing, around you laughing. You're just all left alone. I mean, that's the position of modern person. That despite living in this room for the next 16 weeks, you come as strangers and you will leave as strangers. You will not write down anyone's number. You will not conversate with anyone. You will not make friendships with anyone because it's difficult, takes time. And nobody really has the interest. All of us are occupied with our own pathetic little lives. Your question is really, really good. We can stay here for the next hour and talk about it. No, let's talk about it now. Is an hour okay?
no? Wait, what?
You don't want to stay here for an hour? How about if I give you extra credit?
I
If you stay here, I will give you an automatic C.
an automatic game.
No, that's being greedy.
Okay, what about an automatic? Okay. Like, what's the likeliness of an alternative A based on college?
What did you say?
What?
I couldn't understand you.
What's like the probability that like it'll rise with A level or all levels?
It depends on how much more you sacrifice. So who wants an automatic C? Which means you don't have to do any other questions. You don't have to do any of the assignments. If you stay here for the next hour, you will get a C in this class. Yeah. You'll do it, Derek? Good job. To look at you people, no.
I don't want to do, but if it's an easy thing, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know this offer on Monday, because like study food, like nothing to
Yeah. I agree with you.
So offer goes on Monday.
No offer. It's off the table. I was just joking. Well, it's good to see all of you. Stay well. Take good care. Listen, for those of you who happen to be in dicey relationships, just walk away. I know easier said than done. You can move from France to Germany. Okay. Take care, people. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, Professor.
You too. Thank you. Yeah, you're fine.
No, that's not mine. Thank you.